With me today, we've got Danielle Sekula. Danielle is IPM agent down in the Rio Grande Valley, and greatly appreciate her coming in and visiting with us about some of the pest issues that she's maybe seeing down in the valley, and kind of maybe interpreting what that might mean a little bit in our area. And I know that you had a chance to kind of drive up here on vacation over the past weekend, and kind of had an opportunity to kind of see some of our crops as far as the maturity stages and things like that. One of the things that we had on earlier in the program was Dr. Josh McGinty. He was during our live portion of the program talking about ragweed and some of the resistant weeds that he's dealing with. And from the standpoint that a lot of times, especially with the ragweed, we saw that come in from the ditch banks, from the turn rows and side of the roads and things like that. And so he spoke a lot about some of the opportunities that we have to manage those weeds in those ditch banks prior to them becoming a problem actually in our fields, as is the case that we have now with false ragweed becoming one of our major weed issues. But you've also mentioned things like silverleaf nightshade being an issue as far as its ability to harbor some of the pests that we end up having to fight as well. And so I'd like for you to maybe kind of talk about, some of those things that you're seeing in regards to pests and things that may be coming out of our ditches as some of our cotton crop starts to mature, that we need to be on an effort to manage.
Okay. Well, in our area, we barely started getting some rain this past week, so it's been very dry. So as far as weeds go, it's been very limited on weeds. We really haven't had a huge weed issue. So, but like I said, in years past, I would kind of see like, okay, how much silver leaf nightshade was out there, and based on that, you'd see it's flea hoppers. But then if you saw a lot of that weeds going on, not being controlled or being controlled at the same time as there's hot cotton, and you knew that they were going to come off of that and go right into the cotton. And this year I just didn't see that much. Our flea hopper pressure is very, very light this year. In fact, pretty much like majority of the fields, you didn't even see them, and if you did see them, it was like at 5%. And then there were some fields that got up to the 20%. But it was kind of a handful of fields. But the majority of the valley didn't really see very, like in years past, our usual flea hopper pressure. I got some late some late cotton down over at the Texas AgriScience Research Farm there in Lyford. And that cotton last week, prior to this rain, was showing at least a good 10% flea hopper infestation, because we were waiting to do a trial on that one, an efficacy trial. But I did notice in y'all's area a lot of silverleaf nightshade along the roadsides and the ditches, alongside cotton fields. And so, like I said, I didn't get a chance to get down because it's so muddy everywhere. But I'm thinking, if anything, because I saw a lot of cotton squaring, or just going into squaring mode real good. I'm thinking you guys are going to have at least some consistent, well, not consistent, you all are going to have some good flea hopper pressure is what I'm thinking. We didn't really see it that much down here in our area, and now I'm seeing it kind of late. But in y'all's area, I just saw a lot of that silver nightshade, and I know that that's a particular host for flea hoppers, and I'm thinking, if anything, you might start seeing them pretty good. So in the next couple of weeks is what it looked like in y'all's area. So just be mindful of that. If you got cotton squaring, go out there and go look for flea hoppers. You might need to manage that.
So what type of economic threshold would you look at on flea hoppers? You mentioned 10 and 20%.
Generally for flea hoppers, it's 20% that like to go ahead and spray at. But like I said, we didn't really find that kind of pressure down here this year. Main pest this year for us um, was early on was aphids. We had a lot of trouble with cotton aphids everywhere. A lot of flare-ups in some areas, and then some consistent, just heavy pressure in the mid valley, and then along the river. But last week we had a dramatic decline in cotton aphid pressure, and I think it's due to, well, predator buildup was pretty good, and then also too we had a lot of that fungus that just naturally helps it decline, helps them just, and then their cycle they and like the same thing with the sugarcane aphids, they went down in population too. So I think they were coming off that peak, and so now we're at that low point. So I don't know if cotton aphids is a issue in y'all's area. For us, it is. And then the other pest that's been kind of a major pest this last week, actually this last 2 weeks, is whiteflies. Whiteflies have been pretty bad along the river and then mid valley. There have been instances where we've seen tarnished plant bugs, and in the Bayview area and Rio Hondo area, vertibugs. I know vertibugs or something maybe in y'all's area just because y'all are along the coast where they might get bad and go after those young soft bolls.
Yes.
We're barely starting to see some vertibugs, and then right now my concern is any tarnished plant bugs coming out of the grain sorghum, maybe coming on over to the cotton. But I haven't really seen any tarnished plant bugs heavy in the grain sorghum like in past years. So really don't know what to expect there. So
Danielle, thank you for taking your time to visit with us today. I greatly appreciate you, giving us your insight on some of the pest management issues that you're facing down there, and how that may translate to some of the stuff that we're seeing up here. So thank you for working with us and being part of this virtual crop tour today.
cool. Thank you. Appreciate it. You guys take care.